We've got a little present for you as
So
well
I
from
see.
everyone at the Alternative Parenting Show,
Thank
just
you
for
very
you.
Much.
It's
Look,
very
it's like
cute.
a little bouquet and it's got all bits and
I know
bits and bobs
they're
and
actually
socks.
like baby grows and socks
How
and stuff.
gorgeous is that?
It's very cool.
Thank you.
But congratulations.
Can you see
anyway.
it? Can you see that? Any camera got 5 of them? There we
clever
go.
is that?
Oh, that's pretty.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And,
That'll come in handy. Thank you.
And for me?
Yes, thank you.
Well, it's lovely to see you here. Thank you for being here today. And it's a really interesting subject, this one. Charlie, you said that you, from being a young boy, you always wanted to be a dad. You knew it was something that you always would eventually go on to do. And that was the hardest bit about coming out to your parents, because it was their only concern that they had.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a different generation. I'm slightly older now. The young gay men and women seem to not have so much of a problem about starting families these days. But when I was in my teens, gay people didn't seem to really do it, or certainly not in the public eye. I didn't know anybody that I didn't have any role models to look up to or anything like that. And I'd always wanted to be a dad. I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but I knew that it was something that was important to me. So it just, you know, required a bit more thought, really, and a bit more, you know...
So how did you two meet and get to discuss this sort of thing?
We met, I was in a show with a friend of Charlie, and we just sort of clicked, got on and stayed in
Catherine's
touch.
ex-boyfriend was a friend of mine, and so we met, and then they broke up, and I stayed friends with her.
And you said that you had this conversation with quite a lot of people. I think it's one that I've had this conversation with people before years ago, but kind of this Plan B attitude, whereas if Mr. Right doesn't come along.
What do you mean you've had this conversation?
Well, you know when you say, oh, if I don't find the one, I don't find the one, let's just have children together. Have you had that? I remember having those conversations.
Yeah, I think that's quite
do.
common, and I think it is the kind of thing that people do a lot. Obviously, when you know when Catherine was still single and time was moving on, and we realised that it was actually much more of a kind of, okay, well, let's talk about this properly. Let's see if this is something that we're gonna, if this is a road that we're gonna go down, and see if it's something that we want to pursue. So we talked about it for a very long time before anything actually happened.
Like a decade, right?
Yeah, probably
was a long
between 1 and 2
time.
years.
Well,
And then
you
obviously
had to be absolutely sure that the values you had individually were going to be shared values if you had children together.
Yeah, I mean, I've come up a cropper with the guys I've gone out with, who I come from a very close family, and that's always been a really important part of who I am, and Charlie is the same, so that was really important, because guys I've gone out with have come and gone, your family are weird, you still go on holiday together, and you're a grown-up, and Charlie's from the same sort of background, and that made sense. That's what we wanted to create together.
But also opening those conversations about things like discipline and schooling and all of those things, you've got to be so on the same page.
But that's what was great, is we had all those conversations to start with. We talked a lot about every eventuality, and we wanted to make sure that we were ultimately on the same page. I mean, obviously we have disagreements about, you know, me and Cam probably give them more sweets than Catherine does, or we let them watch more telly, or those kind of little things there. You're always going to get
well, I
small
have that
changes.
with my husband.
Yeah, of course, like anybody
thing.
does. But with the big things, we all stand together, and we knew that from day one because we talked about it so much. Catherine and I talked about it, and then obviously when it got to the stage where it was looking more and more likely, me and Cam were together at that point. So then it became the three of us.
What did you think when you were then arriving on this already quite extensive, long-running discussion?
Well, it was a pretty abstract notion, and it gradually became more concrete as we went forward. We didn't really know what we were getting ourselves into, and so it was one step after another, right?
But right from the word go, you were comfortable with that idea?
Yeah, sure, why not?
But the interesting thing is for you is that you do have then the father and the mother, although, you know, sort of biologically, but not together. What role do you fulfill?
We had to create one. And so I became the other daddy. And the kids call me Wawa now.
And that's because your youngest couldn't say Papa.
That's right, yeah.
That's right. And all their friends call me Wawa, and a lot of their friends' parents, and so now I'm officially Wawa.
But there are compromises that need to be made, and obviously you sort of the children split their time 50-50 between both households. And Catherine, I know you said sometimes when the children go to the boys' house, you suddenly have those feelings of, oh, I'm on my own again.
Yeah.
And that must be tough.
It is, but then it's freedom as well. I can go out and I don't have to get a babysitter, and I can do what I want to do and sort of find work, meet friends, go to the theatre, stuff that with kids you can't do. But yeah, there are moments when you go, oh, I just would like that other person.
It is weird, and it's always strange when the kids go, because you love having them around, of course. But there is that thing of we never get to the point where we go, oh my God, the kids, they're driving me mad. I just wish I could get a break, because we do get a break. In a way, it's very similar to a couple that are divorced, perhaps, and the kids go between the two homes, except we're all really close and we all get on really well, and we holiday together and we spend Christmas and birthdays and all that kind of stuff.
And we help each other out. So if we have a sort of, you're supposed to do this night, but you've got some commitments, and we're sort of there.
Yeah.
Well, when you first had the babies, how did that work? What was the dynamic? Did you live with the guys?
We lived together with both children. We lived together for a while, and it was great. I couldn't have done that by myself, certainly with two and a newborn. But yeah, we're not designed to live together. We love each other very, very much.
That's
but
fair to say.
I think this works because we don't live together.
Well,
I think it would be a different.
We have our separate administrations, and the kids move between them without passports.
What about other people's sort of reaction to you, sort of school gate, things like that? How is that?
Yeah, people always ask us about that, but actually we've been really lucky. I know it's not that way for a lot of people. You know, we live in central London. We're in a really cosmopolitan environment. Everyone's really accepting. There are other families from same-sex parents, you know, kids that have been adopted, fostered, whatever. So, you know, we don't get any issues. Certainly none that any of us are aware of. I know it's not like that for some people. Some gay parents, perhaps, who live out in the middle of nowhere, it's very isolating. In fact, one of the reasons I set up a company called Out With The Family, which puts on events for same-sex families, and one of the reasons we did that was, A, it was great for the kids to see other kids that came from the same kind of families as them, but B, for the parents, to stop the parents feeling like they were so alone.